investors, if you want to find stocks that go 10x or more, that's right, 10 baggers, stocks that go up 1,000% or more, you make 10 times your money, you need to keep your eye on this one thing I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to share with you the number one indicator that tells you a stock potentially can become a 10 bagger. And you know what? My name is Jack Marks. I literally wrote the book on 10 bagger stocks. It's called 10 Bagger Blueprint. You can get this on Amazon. And that number one thing you need to keep your eye on is airspeed. Airspeed, that's right. When a plane takes off, it needs a certain airspeed. It needs a certain speed to get lift, to get off the ground, and it needs to maintain that airspeed in order to stay aloft. Once that airspeed slows down, once the speed slows down, the plane stalls, and then it starts descending, and then it crashes ultimately, right? So you need to get maximum airspeed to take off, and you need to maintain that airspeed to stay aloft and to get to your destination, which is the 10 bagger. Now, the airspeed really is momentum, okay? The airspeed is another metaphor for momentum. Now, when it comes to these micro cap stocks, you need to keep your eye on the news flow and the promotion, the velocity of that news flow, the cadence of that news flow, and promotion. Okay, I always say this: time is money, and money loves speed. It doesn't matter if a company, if their revenues go up, 10x in 10 years, the market is going to yawn, okay? If the revenues go from 10 million to 100 million, but it takes them 10 years, it's okay. They might have a, low PE multiple or something like that. But if they go from, 10 million to 30 million in 1 year, that's something that the market wakes up to, because that is proof of massive momentum, massive growth. Again, the market loves to see hyper growth. Okay, for stocks to go up 10x, and when I say 10x, I'm not talking about waiting 5-10 years for this to happen. I'm talking about having this happen in 6 months or 18 months. Okay, most of the stocks that I've introduced to investors, they increased 1,000% or more in as little as 6 months. Usually takes about 6 months to 18 months, in a halfway decent market. We've had stocks that went up 5,000%, 50x in a matter of 4 months. Of course, that was more of a bull market. But again, the main thing is you need that momentum of news flow, that cadence of the news flow, because that indicates to the market that you have you have the potential for that hyper growth. Because most of these companies that we're dealing with, they don't have real earnings. They have they're just starting out in commercialization, so they're really ground floor opportunities. So the only thing that indicates to investors that this thing is a potential winner is the velocity of that news flow. So we need stocks to be putting out at least 4 press releases per month. That indicates to the investors that this thing is on the move. Okay, the quality and the quantity of news releases is really something that investors pay attention to, whether they know it or not. And once that cadence, once that velocity of news flow slows down, the stock starts to lose airspeed and it declines. Okay, and also the same thing goes with promotion. So when you see a CEO promoting the company and all of a sudden they go quiet, again, they start losing airspeed and then it crashes. We've had many examples like that. One of them, of course, is Visibility Group, VSBY in Canada was the symbol. We introduced that stock at 17 cents. It went to $2, so it went up 1,200%. And you know what? They had a decent news flow. They had decent promotion. Of course, once the CEO, thought he was a genius and thought he didn't need, Wall Street Reporter anymore, which is my company that does all the promotion for these stocks, the stock started to decline. I told him, I warned him, look, once you stop engaging with investors, you've built up a great, retail audience with Wall Street Reporter. Once you stop this, your stock is going to go down. It's not because anything we're doing, but look, once you drop the ball, it's never good. And you know what? That stock went from $2. It's trading at around 2 cents right now. That's right. It went from $2 to 2 cents. $2 to 2 cents. A 99% decline. Why is that? Because the CEO violated the number one rule, which is never stop momentum, never slow the plane down. Otherwise, you're gonna crash, right? Once you start losing the airspeed, the crash is just a matter of time. So, guys, if you want to know all my secrets to finding stocks that go 10x or more, get the book 10 Bagger Blueprint. And I wrote this only for one reason. I'm not in it to sell books. I wrote it simply so that you become a more informed investor, because the more informed and knowledgeable you are as an investor, the easier it is for me to promote these stocks, right? Because when you make money, when you make profits with these stocks, you can then roll them into the next deal. And also, you will know when to get out, you'll know when to get out, when to take profits. Or, look, sometimes these guys don't perform, and you'll know what is the signal to bail out. Sometimes you have to bail out. Not everybody that we introduce as a potential super stock actually delivers. I hate to tell you the truth, but that is the truth. So, again, nobody has had more 10 baggers than the Wall Street Reporter and yours truly. But sometimes you got to bail out if these guys don't deliver. Look, this is public venture capital. That is the brutal reality of this. And in the venture capital space, only one out of 50 companies, 1 out of 50 investments actually make it. The rest go to zero. But that 1 out of 50, the one that's a winner, it might become a 100 bagger, right? That's in the VC business. When it comes to penny stocks, it's really no different. So do yourself a favor, get the book 10 Bagger Blueprint, and here's to your 100x.